Are you looking at the Bitcoin price and saying, oh dear, I've missed the boat, it's too late to invest? In today's video, I'm going to be covering why I think that is not the case and there's still plenty more to run. My name is Dale Warburton, and here at Bitcoin Shepherd we help people and companies understand, buy and securely store their own Bitcoin. So a lot of people look at the price, say 12 months ago, and compare it to today, and they'll go, oh, Bitcoin's really expensive. It's gone from 7 to 53 or 54,000. Am I late to the party? Has the ship sailed, etc.? And look, that's a decent question. And what I will say is, absolutely not. You're not too late. You are still super early, and you don't even know it. In terms of where we are in the technology adoption curve, we are still in the early adopter phase. We haven't even transitioned across to the early majority phase. We are basically where the internet was in 95 or 96, just to give you a little bit of context. Also remember that when you're looking at the price of Bitcoin, don't be put off by the price of a whole Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. It comprises of 100 million Satoshis, and you can buy as little as $2 or $3 worth. Remember that price is what you pay, value is what you get. And so when you're comparing the price of Bitcoin to any other shitcoin that looks cheap, remember you need to be comparing value proposition. So if you invest in a fraction of a Bitcoin, think of a Bitcoin as a pizza, and you're investing in a slice of a pizza. As the price of the pizza goes up, the value of your slice goes up. And that's the way you should be looking at it, not in absolute terms. In terms of a Doge is 42 cents, therefore it's got to be, there's some value there. It doesn't mean anything. Doge is absolutely valueless, for example. So let's talk a little bit about future returns. So you might think, oh, well, it's gone up like this. Is it actually going to grow significantly in the future? There's a lot of uncertainty, and nobody can make predictions with any degree of certainty, of course. It's a new asset. This is our fourth cycle, and there's still a lot of unknowns. What we do know is obviously the people who invest in the beginning, they got the biggest gains. Very few of them have actually stuck around to today because they exited their positions when they 1000x their money, and look, who wouldn't, right? So very few of those people have actually stuck around today. And yeah, sure, it would have been better for you to invest 5 years, 3 years, even 1 year ago. That would have been a really smart decision, but the risk profile was very different. And so the reason why I say to you that there is still plenty of opportunity to invest in this particular asset is because it has been materially de-risked for two reasons. The one is that the macroeconomic conditions are perfect. So government's response to COVID by basically shutting all the economies down and printing money and spending tons of money that they didn't have, and creating these budget deficits and crazy amounts of debt, and effectively creating lots of fears about inflation because, hey, you know, when you spend that much money and you print money endlessly, what does that actually do to the dollars and cents that people have in their accounts? It erodes the value. And so people typically in those conditions invest in deflationary assets like gold. Gold is analog, and so people are moving to Bitcoin because it's digital, as simple as that. So that's the first thing. It's Goldilocks macroeconomic conditions that have de-risked that. So with effect from, say, March 2020, Bitcoin suddenly became materially de-risked. The other reason is that institutions have jumped in. I'm sure you've seen the news and the headlines. I mean, we've got companies that are exchanging their cash reserves for Bitcoin, like Tesla and MicroStrategy and Square. And sure, these are the folks on the frontier, but if all the corporates in America, listed companies in America, had decided to exchange 10% of their cash for Bitcoin, a Bitcoin would be worth $400,000. And so, sure, these guys are early, but that's certainly something I expect to see happen in the future. You've got pension funds jumping in. In New Zealand, a pension fund announced recently that they had invested in Bitcoin. You've got a 170-year-old insurance company in the US called Mass Mutual who bought it. Okay, think of how conservative they are. These guys aren't Mickey Mouse operators. They do enormous amounts of due diligence. I read something recently that some insurance companies do up to 3 years worth of due diligence before making investment. Also bear in mind that a lot of institutions weren't able to invest in Bitcoin until it hit around $1 trillion because it was not deemed to be sufficiently big or liquid enough for them to invest in. And so at around $53,000, that is sort of the price point where you're hitting the $1 trillion market cap, which is basically the value of the Bitcoin times by all the Bitcoin in circulation. And so there is this wall of institutional money that has started arriving, but it hasn't even begun in its real sense. There's a ton more to come. So I think there's still plenty of legs. And think about it, they have billions of dollars that can actually move the market in a material sense. So what does that mean? It means that the price, in my view, is still going to run a lot harder for a lot longer. Relative to the past, on a percentage basis, is it going to be less? Absolutely, but it's materially de-risked. Remember, the people who invested in the past did not have the benefit of having all these sort of pioneers ahead of them. And so if you invest early when there's a ton of risk, you're going to enjoy the most benefits. Today, the way I'm looking at it on a sort of 10, 15, 20, 30-year horizon, and I know those are broad numbers, I would still say you're looking at 10, 20, 30, 50x. And so there's still plenty to go. I mean, it's the equivalent of investing in Google, Amazon, Facebook in 2010. That's the way I'm looking at investing in Bitcoin today. So the first thing I tell people is go to an exchange, put a deposit, and buy Bitcoin. Just get off zero. The next thing is put in place a dollar cost averaging strategy. What that means is that every week or fortnight or month, an amount of money is going to be direct debited or coming straight out of your account or your credit card or your debit card, and it's going to be buying Bitcoin and storing in a wallet for you. It's a set and forget strategy. It doesn't require any intervention. I suggest that it is an amount that is material enough on the one hand, and on the other hand is not going to impact your lifestyle or cash flow. And so whatever the amount is, it's all relative to you, but that is the single most powerful way that you can build wealth in Bitcoin terms. Think of it as stacking sats. You're stacking Satoshis. And remember, 100 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin. And today, 1,000 Satoshis are roughly around 55 US cents. And so that is the way I would be thinking about it. That's the psychology I would employ. And if you do the set and forget tactic together with a deposit every now and then, you're well on your way to accruing wealth in Bitcoin. How did you like that? Did you find it helpful? If so, please subscribe to my channel. Also, get in touch at hello@thebitcoinshepherd.com if you've got any topics that you think might be useful for me to cover in the future. Otherwise, have a great weekend and keep hodling, friends. Cheers.